Ahoy mateys, it is Peter the Teach here, and in this video we're going to discuss consonant and dissonant intervals, as well as inverting intervals as well, and how that works. Alright, so let's begin. Let's begin with kind of the idea of this consonant versus dissonance. One way you can think about it is a consonant interval is going to be something that sounds more pleasing to your ear, or is going to be more tonally stable, whereas a dissonant chord is going to sound more jarring, clashing, or as if they need to move somewhere else. It doesn't really sound good if it just sits there right on that interval playing those two notes together. So that's kind of the basic definition of those two words. Now for your worksheets, you're going to be asked other things like, is it a perfect consonance, imperfect consonance, or is it just dissonance? So we're going to hop into that. Alright, so let's begin with our perfect, make sure I'm using the right color here, our perfect consonants. So the easiest way to remember what's going to fit into this category is anything that's going to be a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, or a perfect eighth, or an octave. So for example, if we have from, say we're in treble clef, if we're going from an F to an F, that would be a perfect eighth, and that would be perfect consonants, or PC for short. Or if we have a perfect fifth, so let's go from A to E, perfect fifth, that is going to be perfect consonants, not continents. All right, now moving forward, let's go on to imperfect consonances. Write it out. Imperfect consonances. So these are going to be specific intervals that are not a perfect interval, so it's not going to be our fourth, fifth, or an eighth. But when we play them together, we're going to still have this kind of tonally stable sound. So these are going to include our third and our sixth, whether it be major or minor. So our major or minor, well, I did that backwards, 6, or major or minor third. So for example, if we're going D to F or D to F sharp, those are going to be what we call imperfect consonants, or we could abbreviate it IC. And then our last one is going to be just dissonance, which is going to include our seconds as well as our sevenths and any other augmented intervals as well. So our dissonant intervals. So this includes major or minor seconds, major or minor sevenths, or any augmented or diminished interval. So for example, if we're going from D to E, that would be our major second. That is going to be a dissonant interval. Or if we're going from D to, let's say, C sharp, that is going to be dissonant as well. And if you're kind of looking for a breakdown this, if you do go in your book to the consonant and dissonant intervals kind of section in the intervals chapter, it breaks it out later on under one of the key concepts, where it kind of tells you what the interval class is, what the basic interval is, and then the qualities, for example, dissonant and perfect consonants or perfect consonants and so forth. So you can go ahead and take a look at that in your book as well. All right, the next thing we're going to go over is inverting a chord. Or not a chord, inverting an interval. Boom. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and write out two intervals. So we're going to begin with our major third D to F sharp, just as an example. Whoa, a little bit of dyslexia there. There we go. So this would be a major third. Now if we're thinking inversion, you can almost think about, well, for example, in Kalispell, Montana, if you ever go skiing up at Whitefish, sometimes, normally the clouds are like above the mountains and they're above everything that's going on. But sometimes what happens is you get an inversion. So the clouds are a lot lower, or everything kind of flips upside down. So the clouds are lower and now the mountain is above the clouds. So you can think about either like looking at yourself in a mirror upside down, or just anything flipping it like that. So instead of having D to F sharp here, I would instead have F sharp up to D like that. And if we were to figure out that interval, first we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be our generic interval type, or the size of our interval. And then our quality, if we're thinking F sharp major, that's 6. Well, first of all, in F sharp major, we have 6 sharps, and D would be one of them. So we'd have a D natural. So I'm going to go ahead and say that would be a minor 6th. So the easiest way to think about inverting an interval is that whichever one you're starting with, whether I was starting with the major 6 or with the major third, these two need to add up to equal 9. And that's kind of just a shortcut there. And then if you notice, the other thing is that the quality of our two intervals is going to be opposite. So here I have a major interval, and here I come across a minor interval instead. So that's pretty much the basics for that. So the quality switches. We'll say quality switches. And then you need to make sure that the two add up to 9. And that's pretty much the most important thing when you're thinking of inverting intervals. Alright, hopefully this video was helpful. If you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and hopefully you have a wonderful day.